say I love you too, feel so at home with you. Take me back to the morning light with you. Let's go back to the morning light with you. Take me back to the morning light with you. Let's go back to the morning light with you. We met by the seaside in Byron, walked to the ocean, went sliding, then to the top shop, had smoothies, jumped in the van, drove to the headland, lay in each other's arms. Take me back.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the SARM Midterm 2021 Convention. I'm Ray Orr, President of SARM. Well, here we are again, joining together virtually for yet another convention. A big thank you to our convention staff for doing their very best to bring us all together again, despite COVID-19. So before I get into SARM business, I thought now would be a great time for us all to reflect on the resiliency of this great province. COVID-19 has presented us with far-reaching healthcare, social, and political challenges. But looking back in our history, these challenges are far from unprecedented. Generations before us, sacrifices were made so we could enjoy the freedoms that we have today. Stories of those that survived times of world wars, times of residential schools, times of widespread poverty, and times of global illness. Maybe we need to look at the past for the answers. Talk to those that came together to persevere. Let's take a moment right now and remember where we came from. We want all those that come after us to look back with pride. Stories of how we came together, set aside our differences, and we're all part of the COVID solution. We can do it, and our history has shown us that. Now for the business at hand. Rural Saskatchewan, our wide open spaces, small populations, caring communities, and vast opportunities are now more than ever sought after by so many. People are recognizing rural Saskatchewan as a great place to live and are looking to enjoy the rural lifestyle in this great province that we call home. And because of this, SARM has put a priority on assisting councils and administrators to grow their capacity. And to do so, we've taken a grassroots approach by asking our membership what they would like when it comes to capacity building, including education and what the priorities are for the municipalities. SARM also continues to work on a rural municipal capacity plan, which we started some time ago and are developing initiatives to assist our members, including looking at a learning management system that would serve as a central training location for both council and administrators. SARM continues to lobby the province to aid our members when it comes to infrastructure, and both the urban and rural infrastructure deficits are something all orders of government cannot ignore. We believe our work is paying off with additional dollars going to our members. And in the spring of 2020, our work came to fruition. What was announced, there would be an additional funding for the replacement of 100 rural municipal bridges over the next 4 years. 31.5 million in federal and provincial funding directed to rural bridge improvements through the RG program. In June of last year, the province announced $28 million in road improvements to RMs in Saskatchewan. And in September of 2020, the province also committed an additional $16.5 million. And this funding is part of a 3-year plan to improve 100 rural roads through the RG program. SARM is also happy to see the province announce $150 million municipal economic enhancement, whereby municipalities in the province received infrastructure funding on a per capita basis. Another priority for SARM is the improvement of rural broadband, which has become even more important since the onset of the pandemic. And SARM has viewed rural broadband as a priority for several years and has been a strong voice in lobbying the federal government for funding programs such as Connecting Canadians and now the Universal Broadband Fund. SARM answered the call to action in creating the Saskatchewan Broadband Action Committee and been busy working with stakeholders, senior governments, and private internet service providers to improve connectivity within our rural municipalities. And we feel this initiative must be worked on together rather than individually. This initiative is one of its kind in Canada. So SARM has been meeting with FSIN, Saskatchewan Indigenous Economic Development Network, Access Communications, SUMA, eHealth, Sask Métis Economic Development Corporation, Southeast Regional College, Saskatchewan Teachers Federation, Saskatchewan Economic Development Alliance, Ministry of Trade and Export Development, the Clarence Campeau Development Fund, Flex Networks, New North, Saskatchewan School Boards Association, and the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, with the goal of parity when it comes to internet across the province. Where you live shouldn't determine the level of broadband you receive. It's critical we work together to solve this problem, and we believe reliable rural broadband is an essential service. So no one entity will solve this problem on their own. I look forward to continuing to work with all stakeholders to have equal access across the province. Well, speaking of partnerships, we're all well aware the friction over the past year and a half with our sister association, SUMA. SARM's goal is to rebuild a relationship as both organizations have many things in common, while also realizing we have different jurisdictions and different issues to deal with. And if we're asking our members to work together, we should be doing the same. Just this past month, both the SARM and SUMA executives met and have committed to meeting a minimum of 2 times per year, including having the boards meet annually. A great partnership that we have with SUMA, the New North, and the Ministry of Government Relations is a targeted sector support program. Since 2020, 56 cost-shared grants totaling over 1.9 million have been approved by the TSS Steering Committee. I encourage you all to apply for this municipal funding opportunity before the intake closes on February 1st of 2022. So on the agriculture front, carbon offsets and agri-stability are a couple of key issues on SARM's radar, and SARM maintains that a carbon tax is not an effective policy tool for reducing greenhouse gas emissions or mitigating climate change. Because we live in a resource-rich province that is already unfairly disadvantaged under the federal carbon tax levy, and farmers have been doing their part to reduce greenhouse gases in the way they farm, including zero-till for a long time. There have also been some that have planted trees, which contributes to the sequestration of carbon in the soil. And for many decades, ranchers have also been good stewards of the rangeland in this province. Yet because the federal government does not value agriculture carbon offsets that are retroactive, most of Saskatchewan farmers will not qualify to sell in an offset market unless organizations like SARM and the Saskatchewan Soil Conservation Association convince the federal government otherwise. And SARM has been working with our province to create an offset program that is meaningful for agriculture producers and that is equivalent to a federal program. So we met with the ministers of Agriculture, Environment, and other government officials to make sure they know how important it is that our provincial offset system works for farmers. SARM has also been working hard on the agri-stability file. And last year, the federal Minister of Agriculture made changes to agri-stability by eliminating the refuge margin limit and increased the compensation rate to 80%. This would lead to an increased payout from agri-stability of 50% or $170 million nationally into the pockets of farmers who need it the most. But Saskatchewan's Ministry of Agriculture has yet to agree to fund its portion of the increased costs for delivering this program with these new parameters. And both the province and SARM have asked the federal government to amend the 60-40 cost share formula so provinces like Saskatchewan are not bearing such a huge increase. SARM understands how this cost increase is difficult for our province to absorb in a country where we house a significant portion of the agricultural land. In Saskatchewan, the changes would cost about $40 million. Removing reference margin limits costs about $20 million per year, and increasing the compensation rate was estimated at $20 million at an 80% rate. At the same time, we want to make sure agriculture producers have access to full agri-stability when they need it, and producers in this province cannot afford to be caught in our middle. We continue to raise our concerns with both the federal and provincial agriculture departments, and will push for an agreement as soon as possible for our producers so they know they will have support when they need it. So the last issue I want to give some attention to today is the Trespass Act and the continued delay with its implementation. And this legislation has been in development for a number of years, and it just needs to be proclaimed so it can become a forcible law in this province. Trespassing presents a threat, not only to personal safety, but also to the livelihood of farmers. Livestock can be lost to hunting accidents or gates left open, and noxious weeds, invasive species, and soil-borne diseases like clubroot present a serious biosecurity threat to Saskatchewan's agriculture economy. And with clear direction from our membership, SARM strongly advocated for amendments to the Trespass Act, requiring hunters and recreation users to gain permission to enter private lands, whether the land is posted or not. To help hunters and recreation users obtain permission to enter private lands, SARM partnered with the provincial government to host an innovation challenge. And Western Heritage won the challenge, and now their Saskalander application is developed and tested. And SARM had meetings with Minister of Justice Gord Wyant to impress upon him the critical importance of this coming into force before the start of this hunting season. And although we have been actively lobbying for this act to be enacted this fall, we do understand more needs to be done legislatively prior to that. And we're anxiously awaiting its enactment on January 1st, 2022, as stated in the province's throne speech. And speaking of the throne speech, SARM is quite happy to see increased efforts to combat rural crime that were promised. This includes an increase in coordination of policing services across Saskatchewan to provide better service. And we look forward to seeing what this means in the coming months, as rural crime is an ongoing issue facing rural Saskatchewan. Well, there are so many issues that SARM is dealing with, and too many to mention this morning, but between the board and the staff, we have a very good team and are tackling many issues together. In closing, I hope that everyone will enjoy the virtual midterm convention. We hope to be seeing each other soon in person at our March 2022 annual convention. Thank you.
Thank you, President Orb. I would like to make an announcement around registration. Today we have 257 RMs registered for our midterm convention, including 1,162 individuals. So thank you all for attending. As we continue through our morning, we are pleased to have with us the Honorable Don McMorris, Minister of Government Relations. Minister McMorris was elected MLA for Indian Head Milestone in 1999 and has held many roles within the provincial cabinet. Throughout the years, Don has always focused on serving the people of our province and is a true advocate for rural living. Please join me in welcoming Minister McMorris.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge that the lands on which we are gathered virtually across Saskatchewan is on Treaties 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 territories and homeland of the Métis. On behalf of Premier Scott Moe and the Government of Saskatchewan, it's a pleasure to bring greetings as the Provincial Minister of Government Relations and as its Minister responsible for First Nations, Métis, and Northern Affairs. We also gather today during Local Government Week, which runs from November 8th to 14th across Saskatchewan. Our provincial government had the privilege to proclaim that week following a joint request from several important organizations that include the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, Métis Nation Saskatchewan, and the Saskatchewan School Boards Association. The Government of Saskatchewan recognizes and appreciates the important work leaders of all communities and local government organizations do each and every day. Chiefs, mayors, reeves, councillors, trustees, and administrative officials all play a significant role in improving the quality of life to all who live in our province. Thank you for what you do. When communities work together with other government partners on a common goal, it benefits all Saskatchewan residents. One of the ways our government is strengthening communities is through ongoing infrastructure investments. In 2021, the Ministry of Government Relations has announced more than 180 new projects across Saskatchewan under the ongoing Investing in Canada infrastructure program. This represents more than $202 million of provincial investment. These projects will leave a lasting and positive legacy, such as enhanced water and wastewater systems, better cultural and recreation opportunities, decommissioning landfills for a cleaner environment, and new local bridges and culverts to better support the transportation of agriculture products and other commodities. To continue building better communities and quality of life, I am pleased to provide an update about the important infrastructure program. Today, we are announcing that Saskatchewan municipalities and other eligible organizations will once again be able to submit funding applications for proposed community, culture, and recreation projects under ISIP. This is the latest application intake for this 10-year-long program. Examples of proposed project applications that would be considered include those that improve cultural infrastructure, such as museums and heritage centers, provide upgrades to indoor and outdoor recreation facility and spaces, and improvements to community infrastructure such as libraries, civic centers, and multi-purpose facilities, which can house the arts, volunteer groups, and service clubs. We also continue to encourage communities to look for opportunities to work together on projects to maximize available funding. For more information on ISIP and how to apply, please visit www.saskatchewan.ca/ISIP. We are also making other investments to strengthen communities. Recently, the Targeted Sector Support Initiative opened up another cost-sharing grant intake for proposed municipal projects under that program. This initiative is a partnership of representatives from the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, the New North, and the Ministry of Government Relations. I want to thank all members for their ongoing efforts. The initiative provides funding to support non-capital municipal projects focused on capacity building, good governance, and regional cooperation. Successful project applications are cost-shared, with the province funding up to 75% of eligible expenses. Examples of previously approved provincially funded grants include $100,000 for assistance with the creation of a municipal district between the village and RM of Edenwold, $37,000 to conduct a regional fire and emergency services feasibility study between the city and RM of Meadow Lake and neighboring Flying Dust First Nation. $14,000 for a combined asset management review and system update for the town and RM of Willowbunch, and $13,000 for the governance training for municipal officials in the RM of Frenchman Butte and surrounding municipalities. Visit saskatchewan.ca for details and to submit your application before February 1st. We also continue to support municipalities through the Municipal Revenue Sharing Grant. This unconditional provincial funding provides local leaders the flexibility to invest in their municipalities' current key priorities. Since 2007 and 8, more than $3.4 billion in funding has been allocated to benefit municipalities under this program. Be sure to watch for an email in mid-November from the Ministry of Government Relations regarding steps to complete a declaration of eligibility and for an annual municipal revenue for the annual municipal revenue sharing grant. This must be returned to the ministry by January 31st and requires a council resolution. Our government is also supporting communities by creating a new provincial protective services unit within the Ministry of Corrections, Policing, and Public Safety. This initiative will add 60 new police positions and another 11 civilian positions. Working together under one command, there will be conservation officers, highway patrol officers, Provincial Capital Commission community safety officers, safety community and neighborhood or SCAN officers, and deputy sheriffs. This unit will help protect our communities while continuing to coordinate and deliver law enforcement services across our province. Before I go, I wanted to highlight some other important information for locally elected officials and their administrators. A reminder that the new Construction Code Act for Saskatchewan, which replaces the previous Uniform Building and Accessibility Standards Act, will come into force on January 1st. Of note is the implementation of a model building bylaw in municipalities that do not currently have one, and the application of construction standards to farm buildings and sleeping accommodation. It will provide greater clarity on the roles and the responsibilities of building owners, municipalities, and industry. The ministry has also released a pair of handbooks to help administrators and members of council implement recent regulation amendments to the Statement of Provincial Interest Regulations and the Dedicated Land Regulations 2009. Just visit saskatchewan.ca to download both handbooks. Also, please remember to read our latest internet-based edition of Municipalities Today. It's an online newsletter specifically designed to provide municipalities with timely information, to support local governments with their work, and is emailed directly to municipalities every month. In closing, thank you for the invitation to join you today at your midterm convention. Because of your dedication and of the local leaders, our great province will remain strong. By working together, we will continue to position our communities for success and build a Saskatchewan for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister McMorris. We really, truly do appreciate your support. Assistant Commanding Officer or Assistant Commissioner Rhonda Blackmore has 25 years of service in the RCMP. She began her career in Saskatchewan, where she performed general duty policing in Assiniboia, Regina, Buffalo, and Buffalo Narrows for 7 years. She took official command of Saskatchewan RCMP as its commanding officer on April 12th, 2021. Please join me in welcoming Assistant Commander or Assistant Commissioner Rhonda Blackmore.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Obviously, we'd all like to be meeting in person, but next best is to be meeting with you virtually. So as Jay mentioned, I've been the commanding officer of Saskatchewan, or what the RCMP calls F Division since April of this year. I came in from Alberta, and as he also mentioned, I started my policing career here in Saskatchewan. I'm originally from Ontario. I'm a small farm kid from Ontario, and have a appreciation, I guess, from my upbringing on some of the challenges in rural communities and some of the unique challenges that that you face. So I look forward to sharing some insight with you today in respect to some of the priorities and where we've come from, where we're heading with the RCMP in Saskatchewan. Some of my priorities within the policing in the provincial realm here are rural crime, of course, illegal drugs and drug trafficking throughout the province, reconciliation with Indigenous communities, and the wellness of our members. If we don't have members who are healthy and well, you know, we don't have a positive workforce. So those are some of my priorities, what we've been addressing and will continue to address in the next while here. We're in a very unique time right now, continuing. We had all hoped that this was going to be over by now, the COVID crisis, but it seems every time we take one step forward, we're taking another one backwards. So we've also had some challenges as we've navigated through COVID, certainly unprecedented, and we've had to change some of the ways we police, having in the past 18 months or so, 20 months, having enforced public health orders and those types of things. But throughout this entire challenging time, I can tell you that we've certainly felt the support of the people of Saskatchewan as we've faced these challenges, and we know that we're not facing them alone, and we do appreciate that. I also wanted to mention the incredible outpouring of support that we received following the death of Constable Shelby Patton in Indian Head, from Indian Head Detachment. There was the direct support that day from members of the community, members of the farming community who assisted our members in helping to locate and identify the two persons responsible for Shelby's death. But it was that outpouring of support that carried on after that. And I was out at Indian Head the day when Shelby's body was transported from Regina. And I met a lot of the citizens who came out to flank the side of the highway to pay their respects. And I can't tell you how much that meant to myself and meant to all of our members for that support. And we certainly don't take it for granted, the support that we have from the citizens of Saskatchewan, and especially our rural citizens. And we will continue to do everything that we can to provide you with the best policing services in recognition of that support, and to continue that relationship that we have, a very positive relationship. I guess this year, in addition to COVID, there's been a lot of challenges. Mother Nature certainly hasn't been kind. She very rarely comes across as the perfect partner, but this year she was more troublesome than most. We had drought conditions, poor crop yields. It's interesting because I'm talking to my brother back in Ontario who still can't get his beans off the field back there because it's so wet and the fields are underwater. And I keep saying, send us some moisture. And he keeps saying, send me some sunshine. So, it's certainly challenging. It's one of those challenges that farmers face that, I don't know if there's an appreciation from folks living in cities that, if your lawn turns brown isn't the same as suffering from poor crop yields. So we do appreciate what you've gone through this year and the challenges and the stressors that has created, and both mental and financial challenges. And we're here to support you as much as we possibly can. I have a presentation today. I'm just going to go through it. So the presentation is going to come up on the screen. It has some videos in it. Hopefully the videos play okay for you. And I'd like to switch over to that presentation now. So we'll just get that set up. Okay, hopefully everyone can see the presentation now. So within the Saskatchewan RCMP, there's 124 detachments that span the entire province throughout Saskatchewan's RMs. We have approximately 900 police officers working at those 124 detachments throughout the province. We have our commanders within our detachments are very focused on community engagement. It's one of the things that I've emphasized to them, and I know they've done a great job in the past, but I've really put an emphasis on continuing that community engagement and working with our communities. It's not the community and the police. We are part of those communities. You know, it's where we live, where our families go to school, where they're raised, participate in sports, and we really feel part of the communities out there. And we really strive as the provincial police service to get to know the people that we're working for and working with. That includes local leadership, elected officials, our business owners, citizens, and everyone out there who we can partner with and work with to improve policing within the province. I truly believe that communication and connection are the cornerstones to building safer communities. Without that, you know, we'd certainly wouldn't be where we are as far as making progress in working against crime in this province. I didn't put these photos together, but I have to say my brother would be very impressed. He's a Case IH guy, so he'd be happy to see the red on these slides as opposed to green. Okay, we have some videos here that I'm going to show you. This is Sergeant Dennis Siliker. He's our detachment commander in Assiniboia, and he's just going to talk about the importance of partnering with our communities and from his perspective.
My name is Sergeant Dennis Siliker. I'm the detachment commander in Assiniboia, Saskatchewan. There are 12 rural municipalities within the jurisdiction of Assiniboia Detachment. We've undergone a strategy to really involve the RMs, the Reeves, the mayors of our jurisdiction. And I send out bi-weekly texts, communications constantly there. I think I have 13 or 14 different RM meetings over the next 2 months. So really making a concerted effort to be involved and be there for our communities and increase that communication has been absolutely essential for us, for our success. We've undergone a public perception survey. Policing is a service industry. So if we don't understand where the public sees their priorities, how are we to meet those needs? It's funny the reactions you get when you drive into a ranch and they haven't seen a police car on their driveway for years or in recent memory, and you're only there to say hi. A rancher, for example, down by Wood Mountain, we jumped the fence respectfully and went and had a chat just to say hi. What are the priorities? What are you dealing with? How can we better serve you? This past summer is the first time a Assiniboia RCMP detachment has participated in ATV patrols on the Canadian-US border. That was an initiative that we began here. We've had excellent feedback from the municipalities and from my membership. There was a few members that were really driven to be involved and engaged. They were excited about it. And now that's an opportunity for those members, a creative approach to policing that they're so excited about. I think that's the greatest success, is if you can partner with your communities, community policing. Sometimes we get lost in all the terms, but if you can partner with your community, you're going to be able to identify the priorities of that community. You're going to be able to action and implement strategies and meet the needs of those people. So I think that's the biggest thing for us, is the relationships that we've gained, and the relationships that we're building on, and the partnerships.
That we hear repeatedly from our rural communities is the importance of officer visibility in combating rural crime. And it's something that we're really focused on, making sure that our police officers have the administrative support that they need, so that they are not doing admin work that could possibly be done by someone else. And instead they're out being visible, being within our communities and addressing crime. So with respect to some of our current crime trends and statistics, some good news to report. As we all know, last year was kind of a strange year with respect to statistics, a bit of an anomaly. So it's difficult to compare. But even with the odd year last year, what we're seeing this year as of the end of August is that violent crime is down by 8% and property crime is down by 2%. So that's compared to January to August of 2020. Now, I think that speaks volumes on some really positive work that's been done, just because when a lot of people were working from home, we did see drops in property crime during 2020. So to see an additional decrease is very encouraging. When I go through these statistics, just for everyone's information, the stats refer to January to August of 2021 against that same period from last year. So when we talk about earlier statistics from 2016 to 2020, that would include the full 12-month period for each of those years. So our violent crime statistics, which always, any violent crime is concerning, any crime is, but violent crimes particularly, there was an increase of 21% over that 5-year period from 2016 to 2020. But again, as I mentioned, the decrease of 8% this year as of August. So I think we're seeing some positive results from implementing some initiatives like our crime reduction teams, having them out there addressing some prolific offenders. And I think they're making having some positive impact in addition to the work that our frontline detachment members continue to do each day. When it comes to assaults, which comprises over half of all violent crimes, those again were up 14% between 2016 to 2020. But again, we've seen a decrease this year, down 11%, which is a significant number. So very happy to see that decrease as well. And in the area of firearms, when we talk about using firearms, discharge or pointing firearms, that number more than doubled from 2016 to 2020. And it was up a massive 168%. So I'm happy to report that we're working at addressing it, but unfortunately, we're still seeing that 10% increase as of the end of August. So while we continue to focus on some of those very serious and very troubling crimes, and I can assure you that we do have a lot of focus on it, we are still seeing some increases in that area. So when we look at property crime, we did see that decrease of 11% from 2016 to 2020, and again, down 2% as of August of 2021. So continuing to see those numbers go down, which is very encouraging. Break and enters have decreased significantly. We're down 32%, a third from 2016 to 2020, and a further 17% this year. So very encouraging numbers that we're seeing there. Mischief calls, we saw an increase of 6% from 2016 to 2020. And again, this year, a similar increase of about 7%. It is, as it mentions in the slide there, worth noting that the increase is mostly in the obstruct enjoyment of property, not damage to property. So as much as that sounds like we're splitting hairs there a little bit, it is something to note, because statistics can be reflective of actually an increase in arrests. So in additional enforcement action can increase those statistics. So the stats look bad, but actually it's addressing more of those issues of people who are obstructing that enjoyment of property. So I think that can be a positive increase, even though we don't like to see those increases, but it's certainly better than that damage to property category. And thefts are down 18% from 2016 to 2020, and further decrease of 1% this year. So when it comes to trends in rural crime, this is what we're seeing lately. There's recently been quite a rash of thefts of catalytic converters and farm equipment and accessories, tools, GPS systems, sort of those high-end items that thieves are looking for. We have seen some thefts of cattle and other livestock. I'm sure many of you saw the media releases of some investigations that spanned both from Alberta into Saskatchewan here in the last couple months. So very positive that we were able to address some of those incidents there by identifying those responsible and charging them with those crimes. And the other point that I'll just make about the Saskatchewan Crime Watch Advisory Network, that has been expanded to include the livestock services of Saskatchewan. So very, very positive increase as well. The more people that we can have on things like Crime Watch and those additional eyes and ears out there for us, it's certainly very, very positive for us. We can't be everywhere, and that information is so often it can be that critical piece. You know, we really encourage people to report, and so often I hear, well, nothing's going to get done about it anyway. You know, it's just a minor crime. But at the end of the day, it can very well be that one little piece of information that we need to be able to obtain that judicial authorization that sways a court official from saying, you know, okay, we'll issue this warrant and we'll allow that to happen. So some of those pieces are absolutely critical, and you never know what piece it is that could be that key piece that we need. So I continue to encourage people when they see something suspicious, you know your communities incredibly well, and you know when something isn't right, when something's out of place, when it looks a little odd. Report those things, because it's very important that we have all of those pieces. And sometimes that, you know, out cultivating at 1 a.m, that brown truck you saw that seemed out of place is exactly what we need to know, because we've been looking for that brown truck in another location, and it's good to know where they were last seen. So again, lots of support for calling in those crimes. And we also have the online crime reporting. I'll talk about that, but there are sort of those lower end crimes that you can report online, so you don't even have to go to a detachment. You can report them right online from the convenience of your home. So in addressing rural crime, you know, this is not something that we've said, this is how we're going to address rural crime, and we've excuse me, put something static in place. We continue to review and assess our response to rural crime and make sure that it's oh, excuse me, getting a frog in my throat. That it's addressing the needs of our our citizens. So we have a property crime strategy, and it's got several pieces included in that strategy. So we're looking at, we're re-energizing our Rural Crime Watch and Citizens on Patrol programs. Again, that ability to have those eyes and ears out there is so effective for us, and so important that to get us all of those pieces of the puzzle that sometimes we need to put together. We're using intelligence-led policing tactics, and that's some words that we hear lots of talk about, but when we talk about what we see on the surface, it may not be what is happening when you pull the layers back and look at exactly what's happening, or you piece together some areas where we may not even realize they're connected because they're different detachments, different RMs, whatever that looks like. We can certainly get more information when we do that analysis and have our intelligence folks put some of those pieces together. Excuse me. So in many cases, our intel folks are often directing or leading us as to where we should be looking, just because they've uncovered something or seen similarities or patterns in crime. And so all of those pieces are what we use to put together to address where we're going, where we're looking, prolifics we should be targeting, et cetera, et cetera. I mentioned previously our crime reduction teams, and they were established to really focus on those chronic and prolific offenders. We know that, you know, it's 5 to 10% of the population that's creating 80% of the crime. And if we can take some of those prolific offenders off the street or hold them accountable, we can often make a very big difference in crime, the amount of crime out there and the severity of crime as well. I previously mentioned the Crime Watch Advisory Network, which again, super important that we can get information out there because criminals don't know boundaries. They travel quickly in vehicles, and being able to get that information out there to a wide audience is incredibly important and incredibly helpful. And we've seen some great successes in being able to do that. We continue to strengthen our partnerships with our provincial law enforcement, conservation officers, the Saskatchewan Highway Patrol, and they're available to respond to urgent situations and critical incidents if they happen to be closer in proximity to an incident than our members. Our rural and property crime enforcement efforts, they really focus on that disruption of gang and drug activity and the tracking of those prolific offenders. So much of that is interrelated. I know my crime reduction teams have said before, you know, if there were no illegal drugs, they probably wouldn't have a need for crime reduction teams because so much of it is driven by the illegal drug subculture and the money associated to that, and property crime is an easy way for them to get finances for some of those drug activities. We've seen a lot of methamphetamine and opioid addictions, which again, like I said, cause a significant portion of those property crimes because they are fueling that habit by obtaining property that they can then sell for money which they spend on drugs. And the other thing I guess I'd say about the property crimes that a significant portion of them are committed by those transient offenders. So they're committing those multiple offenses over a short period of time, and sometimes over a large area as they travel throughout the province or throughout Western Canada. So having our crime reduction teams being able to address some of those prolific offenders can have a huge difference and a very significant impact on being able to reduce our property crime and meet some of our goals when it comes to reducing crime in those areas. So our property crime strategy focuses on several different areas. So we're using our Rural Crime Watch and Citizens on Patrol that I mentioned previously, using that intelligence-led approach so that we are making sure we're seeing those things which may not be immediately obvious, analyzing those crime stats and the trends to make sure that we're focused where we should be. And again, I talked about our partnership with other provincial law enforcement and our very successful crime reduction teams. The province announced recently in the throne speech the expansion of our crime reduction teams, which is a very positive step, and I think will have even more positive impact on being able to combat crime, having more crime reduction teams out there. And then our traffic services, we have the Combined Traffic Services of Saskatchewan. I know some people have seen a municipal police car out in a rural area and they're wondering, why is Saskatoon out here? Or why is Regina out here? They're all part of that Combined Traffic Services of Saskatchewan. And they're very helpful in that we can use them and deploy them to areas where we need that additional enforcement. Excuse me. It's incredible some of the illegal substances, what we can find in a simple traffic stop. We've had some really, really positive successes over the summer, and we've seen significant seizures of drugs and money that was obtained through criminal activities that would have otherwise gone unnoticed if they weren't stopped on the highway. So really, really effective through our what we call CTSS, as well as our roving traffic unit, focused on getting some of those traveling criminals off of our highways. And then we have I spoke about the Crime Watch Advisory Network. But we also have our online crime reporting tool. And this is what I had mentioned previously, that I think it's a really positive step forward and makes it very convenient for people to be able to report those lower end crimes. When we talk about online crime reporting, the online crime reporting tool allows anyone to report crimes such as damage or mischief to property, or damage to a vehicle under $5,000, theft under $5,000, or lost and found property. In cases where there's no witnesses or suspects, and that value, again, like I said, has to be under $5,000. So the items that are being reported can't be firearms or license plates, anything like that, or issues that would involve personal identity. But those, just for those, I guess what we could call run of the mill kind of, that's interesting kind of moments, or those lower end crimes, they can certainly be reported this way. So we're trying to make it more convenient, instead of putting the onus on folks to have to go to detachments and take a lot of time out of their day. They have the ability to report those online. As I mentioned, reporting crimes to the police, even though it may seem insignificant, you never know when it's that key piece of information that helps put all the other pieces into give us a clearer picture of what exactly we're dealing with. It can also reveal patterns and the number of crimes that we're dealing with in a specific area. I know in my previous posting in northwestern Alberta, we had a farmer there who had reported a break and enter, and what had happened was he was broken into 7 more times, but he thought, well, they didn't catch them the first time, I'm not going to bother the next times. So he never reported the other 7 incidents. And then crime reduction unit was speaking with him, and he revealed that information. So what they did was they put out what's known as a bait quad. So it's a quad that can be tracked. As soon as it moves, our members are notified, and it was tracked. And they put the bait quad out, and it took 20 minutes for it to be stolen. I'm not kidding, 20 minutes, it was stolen. Our members tracked the quad and were able to arrest the perpetrators, who had actually broken in the other 8 times. So, don't give up. Don't say nothing's going to be done, because there's lots that we can do, and those pieces of information are really critical in getting that information to us. So this is just a headline from a recent media article from the Star Phoenix. It's just a recent example of how public reporting of information to us assisted with an investigation. In this case, in September, Maidstone RCMP, they had responded to a report of a suspicious vehicle, and the members attended the scene, and they located an SUV. It had 2 occupants inside, and then there was also a white car there with a single occupant. The investigation determined that both vehicles were reported stolen. The driver of the car was arrested at the scene and charged. The SUV departed the scene and evaded police, who had attempted to pull them over. But because of the information that was provided to us by the public, the 2 occupants of the SUV were soon located, and they were arrested and charged. So again, a great example of having that input from our community, that assistance from our community. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, but it can also be that significant, seemingly insignificant, but significant factor that results in the apprehension of some of these criminals and stop some of those traveling criminals from wreaking more havoc throughout the community. This is a video, talks about one of our support services. You can probably guess from the photo there which one it is. Our funding from the province, our agreement with the province, includes funding for our support units that assist us in combating rural crime. And some of these examples are traffic services that I had mentioned, our emergency response team, which deals with those high-end, mostly firearm, very high-risk calls. our underwater recovery team, our explosives detection unit, and of course, our police dog services. And police dog services are so key in so many cases, being able to track and locate suspects. They provide an exceptional service, assistance for us, but also a service for the members of the community here within Saskatchewan. So I'll just play a video here and just to give you an example of one of our police dog service handlers and his partner.
I'm not very good without her. So she needs somebody to drive her to the calls, and then she does the rest. I'm Corporal Sean Irwin with the RCMP Police Dog Section based out of Swift Current, Saskatchewan. This is PSD Gigi. So within that area of operation for me, which is Kindersley, Alberta border, southern border, and over to Moose Jaw, all of the RMs inside of that, whatever detachment serves the RM, I would in turn serve the detachment as a support service to that unit. I literally have been to every detachment in this province. Over the course of a year, at least 2 call-outs a week for sure. And then obviously I give a 40-hour work week every week to that same area. So wherever that takes me during the day, yeah, I mean, we can go in the summertime, we can start a shift on a Wednesday and get home on a Sunday. We're here, and even though she might not look like it, she's very good at her job. She tracks, she apprehends, she searches for whether that be lost people, evidence, narcotics. She is actually, prior to her being cross-trained into narcotics, she was an explosive detection dog. I was actually on my way in from Moose Jaw on another call and heard the call come over the radio that members were in trouble and needed help, and they were concerned about narcotics or weapons. And so I took Gigi out and we deployed in the ditch of the highway, about 1 kilometer from where I located the vehicle. Gigi indicated to we call it like a Christmas bag almost, and sat. Turns out that inside the bag was a very large portion of fentanyl, one of the largest seizures in this area. You'll just wake up one morning and all of a sudden that will be your day. Good girl. Good dog.
So that's just an example of one of our support services, one of our dog handlers and his partner there, Gigi. The exceptional service that they provide to us and those specialized services are so key. I mentioned the throne speech and where the government of Saskatchewan recently announced funding for the creation of 54 new positions within the RCMP here in Saskatchewan. And it will also include 11 support positions. And those are going to be specialized to deal with some of those drug trafficking issues, more crime reduction teams, apprehending those prolific offenders on warrants and really focusing on that. So making sure that we're addressing, again, that 5 to 10% of those offenders that create most of the crime. I'm very excited about these new positions. I think we're going to really be able to enhance the work we're doing and address crime at both the frontline level. Our crime reduction teams are out in the communities addressing that, but also some of those higher level importers who are bringing in illegal drugs from other provinces and hopefully being able to stop some of those trafficking issues as well. I have to say I'm very proud of the work that our officers and all of our employees do every day in this province. They work extremely hard and they're very committed to making sure that they're providing each of you with the absolute best policing services that you could expect to receive. So I just wanted to talk about a few recent successes that we've had when it comes to combating crime. Sometimes these are in the media and sometimes they maybe don't get as much notice as we might like, but this is a photo of our PSD police service dog Kilo. And he helped members locate and seize 300 grams of crack cocaine during a traffic stop. Again, our police service dogs are so incredibly helpful to us. They can find things quickly and often detect things that may otherwise go unnoticed. It's amazing how many places people can find to hide things in a vehicle. Absolutely incredible. And generally they're no match for our police service dogs. So in this traffic stop, the 300 grams of crack cocaine, he also located 7 grams of illicit cannabis from the vehicle. And just to put that in perspective, the crack cocaine that was seized would give approximately 600 daily doses. So the driver of this vehicle was charged and with possession for the purpose of trafficking and the possession of the illicit cannabis. And just one example, I guess, our police service dogs doing the great work they do to help us get some of those illegal drugs off the street. In early October, our crime reduction team out of Saskatoon executed a search warrant. It was a rural property out in Corman Park, and that was related to an ongoing investigation. The property was searched and they located 2 Sea-Doos with trailers, a camper trailer. All of those were reported stolen. And they also located and seized 6 firearms and a small amount of methamphetamine. And as a result of that search, 2 adults were charged with numerous offenses, including possession of stolen property, possession of methamphetamine, possession of a firearm contrary to a prohibition order. Another example of partnering, it was a joint effort between our crime reduction team, the emergency response team, Warman RCMP, the Corman Park Police, and the assistance of the Saskatoon Police's Air Support Unit. So just a really, really positive example of coming together with our partners and having great success. As I mentioned earlier, and we saw with the video from Sergeant Siliker, public safety and combating crime is really a shared responsibility with our own specialized units, but it also is key that we have that support and involvement from the public, from the reporting those crimes. Often we rely on those absolutely key and essential witness statements, all of those pieces, as well as working with other partner agencies and the leadership from the provincial government. We really work to foster those positive connections and engage with our communities. It's a top priority for our detachments. I firmly believe that if we don't have the support of our community, we're not going to get very far in being able to keep our community safe. So it is an incredibly important relationship that I highly value, and our detachment commanders and our frontline members understand the importance of those relationships and make sure that they're working to build and sustain the relationships that are there. I just have another video here for you. I'm going to play this. This is Staff Sergeant Kevin Peterson. He is the detachment commander in charge of Kindersley Detachment. And just a few comments from him on his views of connecting directly with people in his community.
Staff Sergeant Kevin Peterson, I'm the detachment commander at Kindersley. We have 27, when you total it up, 27 RMs, towns, villages. So what we've done here is we've assigned each member to each of those communities, and we communicate with them on a regular basis. We find out if there is any needs, what those needs are, and once we do communicate, we help them out as best we can. I really encourage my members to put the phone down sometimes, and if you can go out and have those one-on-one meetings as opposed to just doing policing over the phone, I really encourage that. And I know when I've had feedback where that's received, really well received. But we do those proactive patrols to get out there and make sure that the community knows we are out and in their communities. And it puts a face to a name, and it shows that it's not just a car going through, but there is a member that's accessible and they can reach out to afterwards. Probably around November this time last year, and we had a stolen auto down in Eston area there. They dumped one vehicle and then they stole another one. So when members got down there, myself included, we talked to the community members, we got the information out to them on what vehicle we were looking for. We weren't having much luck finding the suspect vehicle. They got the birding out, and we had a suspect vehicle that matched the description here in Kindersley that somebody called in, and sure enough, that was the right vehicle. That resulted in all 4 being arrested, but one person had a Canada-wide warrant, and we found a loaded shotgun on that person. So really assisted us in finding the vehicle and also helping with community safety by taking that firearm off the street. And that was a real win for the community and us.
So another example there of, you know, that small piece of information, you never know, excuse me, what that can lead to. And the big impact that seemingly small tip or piece of information can lead to. That's the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for listening to me today, for having me as part of your mid-year conference. I do look forward to meeting each of you in person at some point in the future. Hopefully COVID gives us a break so that we can make that happen. For each of you that, you know, for any issues that you have locally, I really encourage you to have conversations with your detachment commander. If you have any concerns, they're certainly there to listen and to support their community. And I encourage you to do that. I know there have been some questions throughout the presentation that have been sent in to SARM. So we will engage with SARM to make sure that we've addressed those and getting the answers, the information that you're looking for when it comes to that. So thank you again for your time today. I do look forward to meeting each of you, like I said, in person once COVID gives us a bit of a break here, and we're able to do that. So thank you so much.
What a great presentation, great stats, Rhonda. If only we all had as much fun as Gigi does at work. We're lucky to have you as a leader with the RCMP, Rhonda, so thanks again. Rural crime is a big file at SARM, including the formation of the Saskatchewan Rural Crime Watch Association. Just last month, the Rural Crime Watch Association elected their first board of directors. So we're excited to have our first meeting this week. So thank you to all those involved in the formation of that. And we're looking forward to getting some more information out to the RMs. Well, I hope you enjoyed the addresses and are ready for the resolutions. I'm going to run through some instructions for our resolution session today before I hand it over to our resolutions chair, President Orb. Guy Legrander, RMAA President, and Sheila Kiesig, RMAA Vice President, will be reading the resolutions. We ask movers to use the raise hand feature as soon as you hear the resolution you are moving being read. When it is your turn to speak, you will be prompted by the chair. Once prompted, please unmute your microphone and be sure to state your name, your title, as well as your municipality. Movers are provided 3 minutes to speak on the resolutions. There will be a timer on the screen, so please be aware of how much time you have remaining. President Orb will also give a 30-second warning. Once the mover's time has expired, the audio will be muted. To speak for or against a resolution, use raise hand feature when you hear the mover speak to the resolution you wish to be debated. You must be a member of council or administrator with permission of council to speak for or against a resolution. When it is your turn to speak, you will be prompted by the chair. When prompted, unmute your microphone. Once you are unmuted, please be sure to state your name, your title, as well as your municipality. You will then have 2 minutes to speak. Once the 2 minutes have expired, your audio will be muted. There will be a timer on the screen, so please be aware of how much time you have remaining. President Orb will once again give a 30-second warning. Please, we are asking that you do not use the chat function to debate resolutions. The resolution chair will then call the vote and will be good for that resolution. But before we start rolling, I'd like to call JP from Data on the Spot, who will now provide instructions once again on voting on resolutions.
Okay, awesome. So you can go ahead and log into the Simply Voting site now. So basically what's going to happen, we're going to be in Zoom. We're going to see the resolution. We're going to debate the resolution. When the chair calls for the vote, then you're going to move over to the voting website. And when we do our first vote, I'll come on again and just give you some verbal instructions. But on that second device or on the second tab, you can go ahead and have that voting open so it's easily accessible when we call our first motion or our first resolution. So once again, there's a bunch of dots, folks, in the chat. If you need any help, just send a message in there and we'll get back to you directly. KJ, thanks.
Thank you, JP. The resolution chair will be providing step-by-step instructions for each resolution. We do appreciate your patience in advance, as the process may take a bit longer as we all adjust to the digital format. Immediately following the resolution session, we will have a presentation from STARS to conclude our morning. So please stick around. I'd like to now turn it over to our resolution chair, President Ray Orp.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So I'm pleased to serve as a chair again for this year's resolution session. At the 2019 annual convention, delegates passed 2 resolutions calling for the creation of a resolutions committee. In response, a resolution process, which includes the creation of a resolutions committee with representation from each of the 6 SARM divisions. And those representatives are Chair Bill Huber, Arm of Lipton, number 217, Division 1, Aaron Kiesik, Arm of Telemet, number 216. For Division 2, Cody Jordison, Arm of Lumsden, number 189, and Division 3, Darren Steinley, Arm of Excelsior, number 166. Division 4, Norm Hall, Arm of Elfrost, number 307. Division 5, Wendy Trask, Arm of Cormant Park, number 344. And Division 6, Rod Weens, Arm of Mountain View, number 318. So the resolution committee evaluates and makes recommendations to the board of directors for improvements to the current resolution policies and procedures. So our first order of business will be a motion to appoint parliamentarians for this resolution session. And I'm pleased to introduce Mike Morris and Andrew Swenson from the SARM Legal Department. And I would ask that someone move that we appoint both as parliamentarians. Could I ask that a mover for the parliamentarian to use the raised hand function now? And operator, I welcome a representative of the mover to speak.
So Helena, go ahead if you'd like to move.
Helena Blazer, RM 218. I so move.
Thank you, Helena. And the seconder, Sasha Martins.
Actually, JP, we don't require seconders. We just
Okay.
need a mover.
Wonderful. We got it.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, I will open the floor. If anyone wishes to debate the parliamentarian selection, please use the raise hand function now. I'll open it up to debate for anyone that wants to speak for or against this resolution. And I'm not seeing anyone on the line as of yet, which is understandable. So I will call the question. Please hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, to cast your vote. After you've cast your vote, you will receive confirmation that your vote has been counted. Please start voting now.
So just a reminder, you should be logged into the voting site. If you don't see vote now, resolution 0, you hit the next vote button at the top of the screen, which will refresh the page and reveal the current ballot. Ray, I suggest that we have a 1 minute on the screen. I'd just like to give a little extra time, and I'll just come on the microphone and let you know when the results are ready. If that's okay.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, we're keeping in mind, that this is a relatively new process. Many of you have already participated in these voting sessions, but we're going to give it a little extra time to make sure everyone has a chance to get their votes in. And just a reminder, the spokesperson for as a mover for resolution number 121M should get ready for the next resolution as well.
Okay, Ray, I think we're going to close the vote now and just stand by. We'll produce the results for everyone to see.
Okay, thanks, JP. Okay, that resolution carried 99.5% in favor and 0.5% opposed. So that is carried. Okay, we can proceed then with the first resolution.
Resolution 1-21M, Noxious Weed Act. RMs of Broken Shell number 68, Weyburn number 67, Wellington number 97, Lamont number 37. Be resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Agriculture to amend the legislation to require that when the municipality receives a signed letter of complaint regarding an infestation of prohibited, noxious, and nuisance weeds on organic lands, the municipality shall notify the certification body to immediately inspect the lands and require the producer to take action to prevent the spread of weeds.
Thank you. Representative the mover to speak on this resolution. Do we have someone in the queue?
Yeah, we have Garth Swanson has his hand up. Go ahead, Garth.
No,
Yeah,
I hit the wrong button before, so.
No
sorry
sweat.
about that.
No problem. Thanks, Garth. We also have Casey Claffey. Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so basically, we just want SARM to lobby the organic associations to, uphold the organic producers to a better standard, I guess. We can follow the Weed Control Act, but as councillors, we don't want to tell our neighbors that they have to, kill their fields or plow them under or, bring in a sprayer. We don't really want to do that. And that's really the only repercussion is follow the Weed Control Act. And it says, we do have a weed inspector, but first of all, nobody wants to do that job.
I need to ask that you identify yourself and your RM.
Yeah, it's Casey Claffey, RM 68, counselor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and
So,
I'll open it up for anyone else that'd like to speak to it as well. I have trouble hearing. Can you identify yourself and your RM?
There's no one else with their hand up, Ray.
Okay, I think it's just maybe a backfeed that I'm hearing, but I'll just leave it open for a minute. If anyone else would like to speak to it, just raise your hand. Okay. Right, I'm not seeing anybody, JP.
No, you're right, Ray. There's nobody, no hands up.
Okay, I'll call for the question then. You can vote now.
So just a reminder, folks, so now you're going to move to the voting page. If you don't see the current ballot, just click on the next vote button, which is at the top of the screen. It should say vote now, resolution 1-21M. And if you have any trouble, you can message Dots in the chat or send us an email to credentials@datonthespot.com. Voting is now open. Sorry, that's the vote's still open. That's not the right result.
Okay. Okay, while we're voting, we can just remind mover of the next resolution to get ready as well.
And just in a response to one of the support questions, how do you speak to a resolution? So just a reminder, at the bottom of Zoom, there's a raise your hand button. That will raise your hand, and then we'll call on you in the order your hand was raised. If you're having trouble with that, you can message someone that says Dots at the end of their name, and we can help you out.
Okay, JP, I see those numbers up. That resolution is carried 95.4% in favor and 4.6 opposed. The next resolution.
Resolution 2-21M, drought relief, RMP 303. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Government of Saskatchewan, Department of Agriculture, requesting financial assistance for crop farmers outside Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation and agri-stability due to the prolonged and extreme drought conditions in 2021.
Okay, thank you. Representative to speak, to move this motion and to speak to this resolution.
Okay, we have Barry Hividston. Go ahead, Barry.
Actually, this is Cal Stachik, the arm of Keys Reeve, and I move the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to speak to it? If you'd like to speak to it, go ahead. If not, I can open it up for anyone else that'd like to speak.
No, I think it's self-explanatory. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yep, I have Blair Cummings, Reeve, RM, Blucher. Go ahead, Blair.
Hi, good morning. Blair Cummins, Reeve, RM, Blucher 343. I know these programs are flawed. Anybody that's in them knows that you can kind of pick them apart, but right now it's all we got. And I would encourage farmers to join them, you know, whether they're not perfect or not, at least there's an ability there to get some money out, even if it's not as much as we might need. So the fact that in your preamble, you say that some people aren't joining these programs because they're flawed, I'm having a little trouble accepting that as an excuse when we're into some dry years and bad years here. I think we should be taking advantage of anything that is available and work to fix them, not just not support them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yep, we have Paul Hegland has his hand up. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, sir. Yes, everyone has an opportunity to join.
Sorry, can you just introduce yourself, please?
Oh, sorry. Paul Hegland, voting delegate, arm of Reno 51. Everyone has an opportunity to enroll in the programs. Shouldn't after the fact say, oh now I'm stuck because I didn't enroll and now I'm stuck. I need the government to bail me out. I think you have your opportunities, and if you don't take them, you can live with it. I think we should vote against this resolution.
Anyone else, JP?
Not at this time, Ray.
Okay, I'll just give it a bit of time. Okay, anyone else?
Nope, no more hands up, Ray. Oh, we got one. I think this is maybe the mover, Barry. But it's not Barry.
This is am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
My name is Ken Kalmakov, Division 3 of RMPs, counselor. We're not against these programs, but what we're trying to get at is additional assistance on this. And a good example is here where the cattle farmers ended up getting extra money on top of their crop insurance for their hay supply. And I feel that this is be a benefit for all the farmers here. This programs have been done in previous years, and that's why I feel that this is an essential program here. It's not that we're slamming agri-invest or ag stability or the crop insurance at all. It's all I have to say for now.
Okay, so that's, that'd be actually the second time that Keys has spoken to the resolution. So it does actually close the debate. I should have actually let them know before. But not seeing anyone else in the queue right now.
Yeah, there's nobody in the queue, Ray.
Okay, I will call for the question and I'll ask them to use the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, and you can start voting now. As a reminder, the mover of resolution 3 can use the raised hand function as well. Okay, looks like the results for that one are in. That resolution has been lost, 56.4% opposed and 43.6 in favor. So we'll go on to the next resolution.
Resolution 3-21M, arrears of municipal taxes by oil and gas companies. Arms of I Hill, number 382, Mount Pleasant, number 2, Cambria, number 6, Reciprocity, number 32, Moose Creek, number 33, Lamont, number 37, Laurier, number 38, The Gap, number 39, White Valley, number 49, Reno, number 51, Arlington, number 79, Waukon, number 93, Whisker Creek, number 106, Paipa, number 110, Mooseman, number 121, Martin, number 122, Silverwood, number 123, Webb, number 138, Willowdale, number 153, Excelsior, number 166, Lacadena, number 228, Mirror Creek, number 229, Snipe Lake, number 259, Newcomb, number 260, Milton, number 292, Dundurn, number 314, Oakdale, number 320, Antelope Park, number 322, Grandview, number 349, Progress, number 351, Grass Lake, number 381, Senlac, number 411, Hillsdale, number 440, Manitou Lake, number 442, Meota, number 468, Turtle River, number 469, Eldon, number 471, Wilton, number 472, Mervyn, number 499, Frenchman Butte, number 501, Meadow Lake, number 588, Happy Land, number 231, Northwest Municipalities Association. Be resolved that SARM lobby the government of Saskatchewan to legislate that municipalities can register a lien against oil and gas licenses and to provide for a procedure to realize on that lien.
Hey, Ray, sorry, I just, we were getting some feedback or an echo on the resolution. So I had muted your computer. So we can't hear you right now. Whoever's running the SARM computer there, you guys need to just unmute it, please. There you go. Thank you. Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, thanks very much. Welcome a representative of the mover to speak to this resolution.
RM 382 moves.
Can you give us your name, sir?
Jason Plott, the administrator for the arm of I-Hill number 382, speaking with permission of council.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, President Orb. Today, we'd like to start off by saying, in addition to the 42 municipalities listed alongside ourselves for co-sponsors, we would also like to thank the arm of Enniskillen number 3, the arm of Chesterfield number 261, and the arm of Peyton number 470 for also agreeing to co-sponsor this resolution. This now brings the number of co-sponsors to 45, plus ourselves, I-Hill, is 46 co-sponsors for this important issue. With the addition of the municipalities, the new total of municipal arrears for oil and gas is $10,162,637.50. This combined with the new arrears for education of taxes of $3,876,171.26 brings a grand total of arrears of oil and gas taxes and written off to date at a bare minimum is $19,713,092.73. Now we do remember that is the minimum as stated. This is all because all the municipalities didn't reply as per our request, and that's fine. We feel this resolution will give municipalities another very good tool to use in receiving of oil and gas arrears of taxes, which have been increasing over the years, or having taxes written off by court vesting orders, thus eliminating the oil and gas tax obligation altogether. What this resolution will do is treat oil and gas licenses the same as any other real property and be subject to the same lien conditions, making it much more difficult for the oil and gas companies to default on their obligations, knowing that any potential sale of their wells, that the municipal taxes have to be paid in full prior to the transfer of the lease from the purchasing company. It will also be more difficult for the courts to write off taxes through that same vesting order. We thank all the delegates today for considering our resolution and respectfully ask for your support on our resolution. Thank you.
Hey, Ray, sorry, we had to mute you again. So if the technician could unmute, we could.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak?
There are no hands up at the moment.
Okay. Just give it a few seconds here. Okay, I don't see anyone else, so I will call the question. Remember to hit the next vote button on top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote. Please start voting now. And as a reminder, the mover for the next resolution, 421, should use the raise hand function now. Okay, that resolution has been carried 98.4% in favor, 1.6% against. Because we're getting feedback on our system, I'm going to ask Jay to read the next resolution.
Okay, oil and gas companies arrears of taxes, 4-21M, RM of Cambria, number 6. Be it resolved that the government of Saskatchewan shall ensure compensation to the municipalities for the outstanding taxes of oil and gas companies from the royalties they collect on the sale of these resources.
Okay, thanks, Jay. I welcome my representative of the mover to speak to the resolution.
Okay, we have somebody here. We don't have the title right, so if you could introduce yourself. You've been prompted from the RM6. Go ahead. Oh, can you mute one of the
Monica Kovac from the RM of Cambria, administrator, speaking with permission.
Okay,
I
would
would
you
like to
speak?
speak
Go
to
ahead.
this motion.
Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
This is kind of in conjunction with the previous motion. We need tax enforcement options sooner before they get to $19 million of outstanding taxes throughout the province. Currently, the option to collect taxes from outstanding oil and gas is by collecting from the purchasers. And a lot of the purchasers don't want to give money to the municipalities because then will lose their income. The oil and gas companies will find somebody else to purchase their product. So it's just not feasible at this time.
Okay, is there anyone else in the queue to speak?
There are no more hands up.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone either, so. Right, I'll call for the question. You can vote now. You can use the next vote button on top of the Simply Voting webpage. And you can start voting now. As a reminder, the mover for resolution 521 could get ready as well and use the raised hand function now. That resolution is carried 89.6% and opposed 10.4%. I'll ask Jay to read the next resolution.
Okay, collection of tax arrears, 5-21M, RMs of Laconia, number 228, Murray Creek, number 229, Snipe Lake, number 259. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to amend the Municipalities Act, the Tax Enforcement and the Oil and Gas Conservation Act to have the operating license of a resource company suspended if they do not keep municipal taxes current.
Okay, thanks, Jay. A representative from the mover to speak. Do we have someone, JP?
We do. We have Yvonne. Yvonne, go ahead. Please introduce yourself.
Is Brock Minogue, Councillor for Division 4 of RM of Laconia, number 228. I will speak to the motion. The municipalities co-sponsoring this resolution have been struggling to collect municipal and education taxes levied against shallow gas energy companies that have been in arrears since 2018. Following the current legislation, the process is difficult at best. The result is often less than satisfactory. The mechanism proposed would follow the same method that collection of arrears for agricultural lease land follows. The municipality would notify the Ministry of Energy and Resources if an oil or gas company is in arrears of taxes, and the province notifies the company that if they do not bring taxes current, their license to produce will be revoked. It is a simple, straightforward, and fair process. It would relieve the uncertainty placed on the municipality trying to budget. It would encourage oil and gas companies to keep their operation current and relevant by cleaning up non-producing wells to reduce their tax burden going forward. It would facilitate access to federal money to clean up well sites. Current taxes is one of the criteria. It would bring fairness back into tax enforcement. We respectfully ask that you support our resolution. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else, JP?
There are no hands up at the moment.
Okay. Anyone else? You can raise your hand if you'd like to speak to it. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, JP.
No, you're right. Nobody, no hands up.
Okay, then I will call the question. You can use the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage, and you can vote now. And as a reminder, mover for the resolution 6, please use the raise hand function now and get ready for the next resolution. %, opposed 2.4. Okay, Jay, the next one.
SaskTel high-speed internet in rural Saskatchewan. Number 6-21M, RM of Hoodoo, number 401. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the province of Saskatchewan to bring higher speed services into areas that are currently experiencing interruptions and weak signals.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Do we have a mover?
We do not have a hand up yet.
Okay, just as a reminder, someone needs to move this resolution before we can debate it. Anyone?
There are no hands up at this time. Just a reminder to members, if you want to move the motion, you just have to click on the raise your hand button. And then, there we go. Okay, we got one. 1 second. Bev Pirio, go ahead.
I would like to move RM Laurier number 38, Bev Pirio.
Okay, would you like to speak to it? If you do, go ahead.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak to it?
Yeah, we have someone from SARM board. Go ahead, you can unmute. Please introduce yourself.
It's Judy Harwood, SARM Director, Division 5. SARM has viewed rural broadband as a priority for several years and has been a strong force in lobbying the federal government for funding programs. SARM answered the call to action in creating the Saskatchewan Broadband Action Committee and has been working with stakeholders, senior governments, and private internet service providers to improve connectivity within our rural municipalities. SARM has been meeting together with FSIN, Saskatchewan Indigenous Economic Development Network, Access Communications, SUMA, eHealth, Sask Métis Economic Development Corporation, Southeast Regional College, Saskatchewan Teachers Federation, Saskatchewan Economic Development Alliance, Ministry of Trade and Export Development, Clarence Campo Development Fund, Flex Networks, New North, Saskatchewan School Boards Association, and the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, with a goal of parity when it comes to internet access across the province. Where you live shouldn't determine the level of broadband you receive. It's critical we work together to solve this problem. We believe reliable rural broadband is an essential service. The SARM board speaks in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
There are no hands up at the moment.
Okay. Okay, I'll just give it a few seconds. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone either, so I will call a question. You can use the raise hand function now. Sorry, you can use the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to vote. Please start voting now. As a reminder, the mover for the next resolution, number 7, should use the raise hand function now. Okay, that resolution carried 94.6, 5.4% against. Resolution number 7, Jay.
Resolution 7-21M, requiring clean out areas for elevators and fertilizer distributors. The Arma Blucher, number 343. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to require elevators and fertilizer distributors to have clean out areas at their facilities as it is a cost of doing business.
Okay, thanks, Jay. JP, do we have a mover?
Indeed, you do. Blair Cummins, please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Blair Cummins, Reeve of the Arma Blucher. Just want to add a few things that were listed in the preamble here. First off, I guess part of the problem is when these trucks are cleaning themselves out, driving down municipal roads and provincial highways, that I believe that provincial highways do not have a tarping bylaw, so there's no way to make them tarp their trucks when they are trying to clean out their facilities or clean out their trailers. Last spring meeting, we had asked Minister Merritt about this problem, and he felt that it was necessary to engage the industry for discussion on clean out facilities. Many of these facilities that exist in the province do not have clean out facilities and have no intention of putting them in. We've also talked to the weed inspectors about this problem, and they would certainly like to see this resolution move forward quickly, as they certainly recognize the problem. Weeds around such facilities are definitely a problem, and the RMs and farmers are the ones responsible for cleaning up the mess. And I realize that such facilities would likely, the costs of maintaining and operating these facilities are going to be passed along to the farmer. We realize this, and we're already paying for it anyway. So we might as well have these kinds of facilities obligated to put in adequate facilities so these truckers can clean their trailers properly. And as anybody knows that's been around these places, like the fertilizer, if you're hauling grain to an elevator, you have to be cleaned out perfectly before you go load fertilizer. And if there's no facilities there to do that, the method of cleaning has been outlined earlier. So I think we thank you for your consideration and ask for your support. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak to this? Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a couple other speakers, Ray. So first up, we have Bree. Bree, please introduce yourself and go ahead. So Bree, we sent you a little prompt to unmute your microphone. You should be able to unmute. Okay, so Bree, we'll just send you a private message, see if we can help you out. Ray, I think you can, there's no other hands up. Maybe we want to give it another few moments. Oh, we got another one here, so. Okay, we have Lyle. Lyle, go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Reaper 379.
Oh, can you just start, sorry, can you just start over there? We didn't hear your name.
Okay, Gerald Berlinski, Reeve of the RM of 379 Reaper. Did you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead. If you'd like to
okay.
speak, go ahead.
I would like to make an amendment to the resolution.
Okay, it would have to be a friendly amendment. What would be the amendment that you'd like to consider?
Okay, I'd like to strike elevators and put in all facilities receiving trucked in bulk commodities of grain, oilseeds, pulses, and byproducts.
Okay, it would have to go back to the original mover, and that's Blair Cummins. Blair, would you consider that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would. We have no problem with that.
Okay, so we'll get the wording. We'll need to put the wording up on our screen so that everyone can see it. Okay, can you, the person with the amendment, can you read it again to us so we can get it clear?
Okay, I would strike elevators and put in all facilities receiving trucked in bulk commodities of grain, oilseeds, pulses, and byproducts.
Okay. We'll get it up there in just a second.
Hey, Ray, we're just working on the edit now. Give us a moment. We'll get it up on the screen.
Yep. Okay, we're working on it here too, so. Okay, we'll just get it up here in a second or two. We'll just check to make sure.
Okay, Ray, we got the resolution. We're just putting it in now. Stand by.
Okay.
It's going to cause that much trouble.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna read this as soon as it's up here and confirm with the mover for the amendment that it's correct. For some reason I lost the screen.
It looked correct, didn't it?
Okay, if you can just hold that, it's there. So I'll read this. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to require all facilities receiving truck to bulk commodities of grain, oilseed, pulses, and byproducts, and fertilizer distributors to have clean out areas at their facilities as it is a cost of doing business. I'm going to confirm with the amendment mover. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so just to be clear, we'll vote on the amendment. I'll open it up if there's anyone that would like to speak to or for Sorry, for or against the amendment.
Okay, can I speak to, or would I close it if I speak to it?
Because you're the mover of the amendment, you can start it off. Go ahead.
Okay, the reason that I would like to see this amendment to it is because we have a pellet plant that brings screenings from all over the country. There's feedlots that bring in pulse processing plants, et cetera, that bring products from all over the district and everywhere. And I think that they all need to have clean out facilities for these products when they bring them in and clean their trailers out. Because what's happening in our RM is they come in and they stop on our back roads and they clean their trailers out after delivering screenings, et cetera, to the pellet plant. And it's a huge problem for us. So I'd like to see all facilities that bring products in have these cleanup facilities available.
Okay, is there anyone else that'd like to speak to the amendment?
Yeah, we have oh, no, the hand just went down.
Okay.
No hands are up right now.
No hands are up, okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone either, so I'll call for the question. Just to be clear, we're voting on this amendment. So you could vote now. You can use the next vote button, top of simply voting. And you can see the vote and you can vote now. Okay, the amendment passed 97% in favor, 3% opposed. So now we can go back and vote on the resolution as amended. So I'll open it up for debate. If there's anyone that would like to speak to or against the resolution, go ahead now.
Okay, we do have a member, Paul Haglund. Please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Paul Haglund, voting delegate, RM of Reno, number 51. I agree with the idea of this resolution, but I wonder, is there going to be a problem enforcing it, making truckers clean out in the clean out areas? Because one thing they like to do is drive on the road for a ways, so it shakes everything down so that it's easy for them to clean out. So that if they have a clean out facility, there need to be some rumble strips or something to shake stuff down. And then even then, I can see them bypassing it and just opening their gates later. But if there's some way of making them do it, it'd be good. But other than that, I'm in favor of it. Just that it might be a problem enforcing it.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Ray, we still have the member who proposed the amendment. Hand is still up. I'm not sure what the procedure is.
If I don't see anyone else's hand up, I could go back to the mover and he could speak to it, or if he chooses not to, then I'll just open it up for voting.
Okay, so there are no hands up at the moment.
Okay, I'll just go back to Blair. Blair, do you want to speak to it one more time?
That's okay, Ray. I think it's all covered.
Okay, so I'll close the debate and I'll call the question. You can use the next vote button now at the top of the Simply Voting webpage. Start voting now. As a reminder, the mover for the next resolution, number 8, to get ready for that. Okay, that resolution carried 95.5% in favor, 4.5 opposed. Jay?
Thank you, Ray. We've got resolution 8-21M, pest control, RM of Blaine Lake number 434. Be it resolved that SARM lobby for the extension of sale of strychnine until such time that a more environmentally friendly and cost-effective solution is found for the eradication of Richardson ground squirrels.
Okay, thanks. JP, do we have a mover?
We don't have any hands up yet, Ray.
Okay, give it a second or two. Just a reminder, we need a mover. Go ahead.
We do have one. Rick Chapman, please introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick Chapman, RM7. No, I think we've got to have that because I know in our area, they're just crazy. We've got to do something with them. So until we get, like it says, until we can find something better, I'm firmly in favor of keeping strychnine.
Okay, is there anyone else?
There are no hands up at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, we got one. Okay, Bev Pirio, go ahead, Bev.
Bev Pirio, RM of 38 Laurier. I was recently at a meeting that I was told that strychnine is actually unavailable even if they did bring it back in because it was no longer being made. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think that if anybody's expecting SARM to keep it there when it can't even be brought here, we might be asking for something that you can't even do.
Okay, anyone else?
There are no hands up at this moment.
Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone either, so I'll call for the question. You can vote now. Use the next vote button at the top of Simply Voting to see the vote. As a reminder, mover for resolution number 9, you can also get ready to use the raise hand function for the next resolution. Okay, I can't see the results for that one, JP.
Here they come.
Yep, got it. Okay, thanks. 91.2% in favor, 8.8% opposed. Okay, Jay, next resolution.
You bet. Resolution 9 -21M, Mule Deer, RM of Blaine Lake number 434. Be it resolved that SARM lobby to expand the hunting season for an increased limit for hunters and make a regular season with no draw tags.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Do we have a mover, JP?
Yeah, it looks like we have a member from the RM of Craig. If you could introduce yourself and go ahead. So that member, you should have got a little pop-up that asks you to unmute your microphone. Oh, they put their hand down. So we're still
Okay.
looking for a mover.
Still looking for a mover. Okay, is there someone that would move this resolution?
Yep. We got Ricky Sunderland. Ricky, please introduce yourself and go ahead. Okay, we're still waiting for Ricky, but I have another member's hand up. Blair Cummings, Reeve RM Blucher. Go ahead.
I'll move it if you're not getting anybody else. I'd like to speak to it too, but yeah, I'll just speak to it if nobody else will.
You're the only hand up, so.
Yeah, you're the only hand up, Blair. So if you want to speak, go ahead.
I'm glad to see this resolution again. I think we've had it before, and to me, I am at a loss why SARM hasn't moved on this sooner. In our area, I mean, mule deer are taking over. We got way more mule deer than whitetail, and I'm not sure why, SARM hasn't moved on this themselves and gotten rid of the draw. And mind you, and I don't know the provincial numbers. I guess they can maybe spit them at us. I would like to know if what's going on around our area is province-wide, but I'm thinking we're losing whitetail to mule deer. So I would have no problem supporting this motion.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
There are no hands up.
Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone either, so I'll close the debate. I'll call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote. You can vote now. Reminder, resolution number 10. Get ready to use your raised hand function, please. That resolution carried 85.9% in favor, 14.1% opposed.
Resolution 10-21M, RM property tax arrears, RM of South Coupelle number 157. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the government of Saskatchewan to make changes to the existing mediation process to take the burden of the collection of property arrears off rural municipalities.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Do we have a mover for resolution number 10?
Yes, we do. So we have the RM 157. Go ahead and please introduce yourself.
Tom Whalen, Councillor RM 157. We move this.
Okay, did we catch that name? You get it? Can you repeat it again? One more time?
Yeah, Tom Whalen, RM 157.
Tom
Okay.
Wayland.
Okay, thank you, Tom. If you want to speak to it, go ahead.
Yeah, we feel that there's a number of reasons we're asking for this. We think the repayment schedules seem to take far too long for their arrears to finally become up to date. Property values have increased quite a bit in the last few years, thus increasing borrowing power should a ratepayer need to finance property taxes. And it's difficult for the RMs to determine accurate budgeting numbers when dealing with variables such as this, never knowing how much an RM will have in tax arrears in the upcoming year. So for these reasons, we ask that the resolution be supported.
Okay, do we have anyone else in the queue?
There are no other hands up.
Okay,
Oh, we got one now. So Russ Jones, go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Russ Jones, RM 588, counselor. If the government of Saskatchewan takes the money for the RM, we're going to lose out. I'm against this motion.
okay, anyone else?
Yep, Ray, we have another member. It just says Lois. Lois, please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, Lois McCormick from the Arma Duck Lake Councillor and Department Administrator for an RM. The government would not take the money from the municipality, but I agree that sometimes the mediation process is long. RMs don't want to take property from people, but they do have to pay something, so they're getting ahead. And sometimes the mediation process does make that drawn out for many years. So I support this resolution, and I request that everyone else support it.
Okay, anyone else?
There are no other hands up except for the mover.
Okay. Okay, I could go back to the mover if you wish to speak. If not, I'll close the debate.
Yeah, in this RM last year alone, we were at about 7.5% of our revenue was tied up in arrears. So this is is becoming quite a problem there. At 7.5% there, there's a lot of gravel that is not being purchased or equipment not being replaced, that kind of a thing. So it does become quite a problem.
Okay, I'll call the question. The debate is closed. Now, remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote. You can start voting now. And a reminder for resolution number 11. The mover can get ready for that resolution as well. That resolution carried 68.1%, 31.9 opposed. Okay, Jay?
Resolution 11-21M, classes of assessment, RM of Nipawin, number 487. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to amend the municipality's regulations to have commercial, industrial, elevators, railway right-of-ways, and pipelines, each on its own class of assessment, to allow municipalities to utilize tax tools between the various commercial and industrial classes.
Okay, thanks, Jay. JP, do we have a mover?
You do. RM number from number 487. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Arnold Schellenberg, RM of 487. I would move this resolution, please.
Okay, would you like to speak to it? If you do, go ahead.
Okay, so for all fairness, like we see that it would be more fair for your small businesses that are in the community. They don't bring in the same revenue that an industrial or elevator or bigger commercial outlets bring in. So it's the taxing we see isn't fair at this point. So this resolution would help that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
There are no hands up at this time.
Okay, I'll just give it a few seconds. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, JP.
Nope, there's no other hands up, Ray.
Okay, I'll call a question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote. You can start voting now. And mover for resolution number 12, you can also get ready for the next resolution. Okay, that resolution carried 91.8% in favor, 8.2% opposed. Jay, next resolution, please.
Resolution 12-21M, trespass laws, arm of Blaine Lake, number 434. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Saskatchewan Ministry of Justice for stricter reform of the trespassing legislation, and that all parties be informed of their respective rights and responsibilities.
Okay, thanks again, Jay. JP, do we have a mover?
You do not yet have a mover.
Okay, someone would like to move, go ahead.
Just a reminder. Oh, there we go. We got one. Okay, Ray, we got Rick Chapman. Rick, please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Rick Chapman, RM is 7, counselor. I move, please.
Okay, Rick, if you want to speak to it, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I just think it's a good thing to have.
Okay, I'll ask if there is anyone else.
Yeah, we have Linda from the RM of 434. Linda, go ahead. Yeah, I think we can hear you. Go ahead, Linda. Oh, sorry, that was Rick. Okay, Linda, we'll have someone message you, see if we can. Oh, do you want to try now? No, we can't hear you. So I'll have someone message you in the Zoom chat. Ray, we have another hand up. Maybe we'll go to that one while we work on that.
Okay.
And someone from the SARM board, please introduce yourself and go ahead.
I'm Bob Molding, SARM Director for Division 1. I'd like to speak to this resolution. Hunting season has begun, yet rural Saskatchewan landowners are still without amendments to the Trespass Act, which would require hunters and recreational users to gain permission to enter private lands, whether the land is posted or not. Since May 2019, SARM has had numerous meetings with provincial officials to impress upon them the critical importance of the amendments coming into effect before the start of this hunting season. The government attributes the delay to the combination of factors, including the need for various ministries to prepare for the changes and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Although we have been actively lobbying for the Trespass Act to be done and to be enacted this fall, we do understand more needs to be done legislatively prior to the enactment. We are anxiously awaiting for the enacted on January 1st, 2022, as stated in the province's throne speech at the end of October. The SARM board speaks in support of this resolution.
Okay, JP, anyone else?
I was just going to try Linda one more time here, and then just the mover.
Okay.
I think Linda's getting my prompt. She's unmuting, but I think the microphone isn't connected properly. So.
Oh, okay.
Linda, I'm going to send you a phone number that you can call right now if you'd like, and we can help walk you through it. And then we'll just, I think we can move on, Ray, to the mover if he wants to speak.
Okay, I'll go back to the mover. If you'd like to speak, you'll close debate.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, so then I'll close debate, call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button again on the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, and you can start voting now. And the mover for the next resolution, number 13, you can get ready to use the raised hand function as well. Okay, that resolution carried 90.8% in favor, 9.2 against. Jay?
Resolution 13-21M, bridge inspection funding, RMs of Caledonia number 99, Scott number 98, Star City number 428, and Connaught number 457. Be it resolved, RMs can opt out of the Rural Integrated Roads for Growth program to engage the services of an independent engineer for the purpose of inspection, maintenance, and repair of their own bridges, and that the funding still be made available proportionate to the number of bridges per the relevant RM at a rate equal to the funding approved for these inspections.
Okay, thanks again, Jay. I'll go back to JP. Do we have a mover?
We do. I'm going to just prompt the member now. Go ahead, introduce yourself, please.
Mark Beck, Reeve the RM of Caledonia 99.
Okay, if you'd like to speak, go ahead.
Yes, our municipality is 30 bridges, of which 8 are on the Moose Jaw River system. During previous inspections, inconsistencies were noted by council with the inspections, and we reached out to a bridge engineer for advice. This engineer inspected the bridges we had flagged and determined some of our concerns were valid. We have since engaged this firm to develop our asset management plan for our bridges and to oversee repairs and maintenance on our bridges to help prolong this aging infrastructure. Our engineer is very well respected and has a good working relationship with SARM and the SARM Bridge Department. And we feel his expertise provides us better direction on bridge maintenance than an inspection every 3 years. We're looking for any municipality to be able to opt out of the program and receive the average funding amount per bridge to help offset approved engineering costs. I would ask that you support this resolution.
Okay, anyone else in the queue?
There are no hands up at this time.
Okay, just give it a bit of time. Okay, no one, JP?
No hands up.
Okay, if there aren't any hands up, then I'll close the debate. Call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage. You can vote now, and as a reminder, move for resolution number 14. To get ready to raise your hand. Okay, that resolution carried 83.4% in favor, 16.6 against. Jay?
Resolution 14-21M, ATV and quad licensing, RM of Duck Lake number 463. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to amend the ATV Act to include UTVs and include registration, licensing, and license plate display for ATVs and UTVs, the same as the Snowmobile Act.
Okay, do we have a mover, JP?
We do. We have a member, Lois. Lois, go ahead. Please introduce yourself. Or maybe it's not Lois, but the member that has their hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, Lois McCormick, Counselor for the RM of Duck Lake 463. I move the resolution.
Okay, Lois, if you'd like to speak to it, go ahead.
We've been frustrated over the last several years with ATVs on our roads. We have a provincial forest reserve right in the middle of our RM. So there's no way for the police to enforce anyone using our roads that are damaging them. Other than the color of a ATV, you can't identify them, and by the time the police get there, of course they're gone. So over the years, we've always talked that they should be licensed, just like in the Snowmobile Act. And so we would like to see this resolution be approved.
Okay, anyone else?
There are no hands up at this time.
Okay. Right, if anyone else would like to speak, use the raise hand function. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, JP.
No, no other hands up.
Okay, then I'll close the debate, call a question. You can use simply the next vote button at the top of the simply voting webpage to see the vote, and you can start voting now. Okay, and as a reminder, mover for resolution number 22 should use the raise hand function. Okay, the resolution carried 59.2% in favor, 40.8 against. Okay.
Resolution 22-21M, SGI Emergency Callout Fee, RM of Mount Hope, number 279. Be it resolved that SARM lobby Saskatchewan Government Insurance to abolish the set rate for fire suppression in vehicle extractions and pay for all vehicle emergency calls in full.
Okay, thanks, Jay. JP, do we have someone in the queue?
We do. We have Ashley Greenshields. Ashley, please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Bob Digney, Reeve, RM Mount Hope, number 279, and I move this resolution.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Okay, so I'll open it up for debate if anyone else would like to speak to it. Either for or against, go ahead.
Oh, yep, we got some hands. Here we go. So we have Don McCallum. Don, go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Don McCollum, Aaron Cutknife, Administrator. I have the council's permission to speak on this. I agree with this resolution. We have all kinds of calls, highway calls, SGI calls with our fire department. And in most cases, we are not paid a fraction of what the actual cost of doing with all the equipment we send out to this thing. And we're more or less required to send our trucks out to a motor vehicle accident. And when that happens, it's just a fraction of what it should be to get paid for the guys that go out there, the equipment we send. So I would urge everyone to support this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
There are no hands in the queue.
Okay. Okay, not seeing any either, so I'll close the debate and call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, and you can vote now. Reminder for the next resolution, 15, should use the raise hand function now to get ready for the next resolution. That resolution is carried 84.1% in favor, 15.9 opposed. Jay?
Resolution 15-21M, nursing and trained healthcare workers shortage. RMs of Laurier, number 38, Wood River, number 74, Priestville, number 334, Willowbunch, number 42, The Gap, number 39, Dufferin, number 190, Pence, number 160, McKillop, number 220, Sutton, number 103, Lejourde, number 128, Estevan, number 5, Lake Elman, number 8, Rudy, number 284, Bengoth, number 40, Crake, number 222, Cupar, number 218, Happy Land, number 231, Lake of the Rivers, number 72, Long Lake, Laketon, number 219, and Terrell, number 101. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the province to immediately increase the number of nursing and combined X-ray lab technicians at all training facilities and look at ways to fast-track training for healthcare students. And be it further resolved that SARM lobby the government of Saskatchewan to look at initiatives and incentives to encourage individuals to consider healthcare professions as a positive career choice by offering enhanced financial and tax incentives and examining what stressors are negatively affecting this sector of the medical service and finding long-term solutions that address the overall healthcare staffing crisis.
Okay, thanks, Jay. JP, do we have a mover?
We do. We have Bev Pirio. Bev, go ahead.
Bev Perio, RM at 38, Councillor Laurier. I move this resolution and admin will be speaking to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Bev, is that person going to speak through your microphone or put their hand up independently?
They should be putting their hand up independently.
Okay, so I have another hand up. Let's try. I don't think it's who you said, but let's see. Okay, the member from RM 38. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
My name is Ursula Scott. I'm the administrator for the RM of Laurier, and I'm have permission from council to speak. The RM of Laurier is looking to SARM to lobby the province for more emphasis on increasing the training capacity for nurses and medical support staff to alleviate severe shortages. Although the COVID pandemic has demonstrated how severe the shortages are, shortages existed even prior to the COVID crisis, and now with the pandemic, this shortage is critical. The health facility at Radville has been hit hard by nursing shortage, and none of the initiatives offered by the province are working to entice nurses to the area. And in fact, nurses have been taken out of the facility to support other areas during the height of the COVID pandemic. This has resulted in the emergency room being closed or only available periodically, which puts all the public at risk. The Canadian Union of Public Employees has also highlighted healthcare worker shortage with a recent call to action. And recent statistics show that in the first quarter of 2021, there were 295 registered nurse vacancies, and younger nurses, along with nurses in the later part of their careers, were leaving the profession. Working short has become the new normal for healthcare workers, and it is time the province addressed the shortage of healthcare workers with some positive solutions instead of programs like the Lean program and top-heavy management, which often steals staff from the working floor. We ask that you support this resolution.
Okay, is there anyone else in the lineup?
There are no other hands up at this time.
Okay, just give it a little bit of time. Okay, I'm not seeing any. If there are no other hands raised, I will close the debate, call for the question. I think by now everybody knows what to do, but I'll just say it one more time. Next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting web page to see the vote, and you can start voting now. As a reminder, the mover for resolution 16 should use the raise hand function now. Okay, the resolution carried 94.1% in favor, 5.9 opposed. Jay?
Resolution 16-21M, Power Mobile Equipment Certification Training, RM of Willowdale number 153. Be it resolved that SARM establish a power mobile equipment training and licensing body who can train workers for rural municipal specific equipment in a comprehensive manner. And be it further resolved, if establishing a power mobile equipment training and licensing body proves difficult, may SARM seek out a current licensing body to which it may receive group pricing and shorter wait times.
Okay, thanks, Jay. JP, do we have a mover?
We do, Ray. We have a member from RM 153. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
I'm Elizabeth Domisley from the RM of Willowdale 153. I wish to discuss a little bit from where this resolution comes from. Occupational health and safety regulations require PME or power mobile equipment training. We are finding many fly-by-night companies that seem to be using this legislation as a make-sell scheme. Having a vetted company with an opportunity for group pricing would certainly help many municipalities and be able to better confirm that municipalities are not only following the legislation, but are better able to ensure high-quality comprehensive training. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
There are no hands up at this time.
Okay. If anyone else would like to speak, use the raise hand function. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, JP.
Nope, I don't see anyone either, Ray.
Okay, I'll close debate. Call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, and you can start voting now. As a reminder, mover for resolution number 17, get ready to use the raise hand function. Okay, that resolution carried 80.2% in favor, 19.8 opposed. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 17-21M, SARM Governance Bylaw 2016-1, Amendment Number 1, Resolution 1, SARM Board of Directors. Be resolved that the board be authorized to revise Governance Bylaw 2016-1 to consolidate or split bylaw clauses or revise the wording of clauses to simplify or improve the bylaw, provided the changes do not change the intent of the original clauses, revise the numbering of clauses as necessary, revise the bylaw sections, standardize the use of defined terms, and correct punctuation and spelling. And be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add the definition of election, where election means a vote at an annual convention to elect a president, a vice president, or a director for a full term of office of the position. And be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add the clause to give the authority to the board to adopt a policy with respect to permitting or restricting attendance of board meetings of individuals or groups.
Okay, thank you, Guy. Do we have a mover for that, JP?
We do. We have someone from the SARM board. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Darwin Whitfield, Division or Director of Division 6. I would like to move this resolution.
To speak to it, if you do, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to speak to it. This resolution is a housekeeping resolution intended to improve the readability of the bylaw and use defined terms throughout the bylaw. These changes do not change the intent of the bylaw previously adopted by the members. The resolution also adds the authority for the board to establish a policy on external individuals or groups attending board meetings.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry, yeah, Ray, I have another speaker. 1 second. Leslie Clark. Go ahead. So Leslie, you should have gotten a little prompt there to unmute your microphone. Oh, there you are.
Okay, Leslie Clark, the RM of Parkdale. And my problem with this, I'm sorry, I've got to turn, there we go. My problem with this is anytime we limit who is attending is not being upfront. And that's where I see this playing into. That's all I have to say.
Okay, anyone else?
Yep, we have Blair Cummins. Go ahead, Blair.
Blair Cummins, RM of Blucher Reeve. Just wondering what your policy is in respect to permitting attendance at the board right now.
Is there anyone that that can answer that from the SARM board?
Yeah, someone's got their hand up, Ray.
Okay.
Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
This is Jay Meyer, the Executive Director of SARM.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, the challenge is, Blair, we don't have a policy and there's nothing in bylaws give us in any direction on who attends the board meetings. This would be for current and future board members to make that decision. Right now, we haven't even really had that discussion as a board on who that would be. But there has been questions in the past if it follows the Municipalities Act or what guides us in this direction. And I guess at the end of the day, the board, since it's not in bylaw, we could just develop a policy, but we don't want gray areas. So we want to put this in the bylaw. So then the current board and future board has guidance that they have to develop some type of a policy and not just be one-off situations. That policy should be shared with the membership as well. But there's right now just no guidance. Right now it's wide open, and I think that's probably a fair way to do it. But you know, we're a nonprofit, so do we follow the Nonprofits Act? Do we follow the Municipalities Act? How that works? So there's really no guidance there. And we just want to make sure that we're protected in the bylaw as the members are, that the board or future boards have to develop a policy.
Okay, thank you. Can I say anything else?
I'll just go back to JP to see if there's anyone else that hasn't spoken yet.
There are no other hands up, but maybe we should just give it a second, Ray.
Okay, I'm not sure if there was somebody else. I thought somebody else asked to speak.
There is no, just Blair, who spoke earlier, is the only person with a hand up right now.
Okay, so if anyone, you know, if someone wants to speak to this, just put your hand up now.
There are no hands up.
Okay, I don't see any either, so I'll call for the question.
Sorry, just to be clear, are we allowed to, like Blair had his hand up and he's already spoken? Do we let him speak again, or do we just go straight to the question?
If he had his hand up, we could go back to him.
Yeah, he would like to speak again, Ray.
Okay, let him
Go ahead, Blair.
Let him go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say that I like what you said, Jay, about keeping things open. I like transparency. So the less restrictions I think that you have to put in place for people wanting to attend board meetings, I think the better. That's just all I wanted to add. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'll just go back to you again, JP. Is there anyone else?
There are no other hands raised.
Okay. Right, okay, I will, I'll close debate then and call for the question. You can use the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote. You can start voting now. And a reminder, mover for the next resolution, number 18, and get ready for that one. Get that resolution carried. It did receive the 2/3 majority that a bylaw change needs to pass. So 80.4% in favor and 19.6 against. Okay, next resolution, please.
Resolution 18-21M, SARM Governance Bylaw 2016-1, Amendment Number 2, Resolution 2, SARM Board of Directors. Be it resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended such that the deadline to submit nominations for an election or special election is 5 p.m. 28 days prior to the date of the election or special election. And be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add the authority to have a special election on a date determined by the board. Be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to delegate authority to the board to approve the nomination and acceptance of nomination forms and the process to submit forms. Be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to allow an elected official who has accepted a nomination to withdraw their acceptance of the nomination prior to the date of the election or special election. And be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add a clause to indicate that if an elected official nominates other elected official for a position, and after the date of the nomination form is signed, the elected official who signed the nomination form no longer qualifies as an elected official, the change in status of the elected official signing the nomination form does not impact the validity of the nomination form. And be it further resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add a clause to indicate that if an elected official is acclaimed to a position, the elected official resumes the position as of the date of the election or special election for the position would have been filled.
Okay, thanks, Guy. JP, do we have a mover?
We do. We have someone from the SARM board. Go ahead.
All right, Bill Huber, Vice President of SARM. I so move this resolution.
Okay, would you like to speak to it, Mr. Vice President?
Yes, I would. This resolution addresses issues identified due to recent special elections. The issues should be clarified in the bylaw. These include standardizing the deadline for nominations, allowing expanded authority for setting the date of special elections, establishing the authority for the nomination forms and process, addressing the issue of the withdrawal of a nomination, address the issue of the validity of signatures on a nomination form if an elected official resigns from office after signing a form, and the date an elected official assumes their position of the board when they are elected by acclamation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
There are no hands up at this time.
Okay, I'll just give it a moment. Anyone else like to speak? Use the raise hand function. Okay, we're not seeing anyone, JP.
Nope, there's no other hands up, Ray.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll close debate, call for the question. And I will ask everyone to use the Simply Voting button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage. And you can vote now. And a reminder, mover for the next resolution. You can also get ready to use the raise hand function. Okay, that resolution is carried as well, 93.6% and 6.4% opposed. Guy, next resolution, please.
Resolution 19-21M, SARM Governance Bylaw 2016-1, Amendment number 3, Resolution 3, SARM Board of Directors. Be resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add a clause that states the board, pursuant to Section 15 of the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities Act, shall adopt a resolutions policy to detail the rules relative to the creation, consideration, adoption, amendment, and repeal of resolutions, including bylaw resolutions. And be it further resolved that governance bylaw 2016-1 be amended to delete the definition of resolutions committee and add a clause that states the board shall establish a resolutions committee with the authority to administer the resolutions policy. And be it further resolved that governance bylaw 2016-1 be amended to state that a resolution, including a bylaw resolution, may be submitted by a member municipality, a group of member municipalities, or the board. And be it further resolved that the definition of bylaw in governance bylaw 2016-1 be amended to include the wording that is approved by a 2/3 majority of the votes cast by voting delegates at a convention, and the related clause in the bylaw be deleted. And be it further resolved that the definition of resolution in governance bylaw 2016-1 be amended to include the wording that is approved by over half of the votes cast by voting delegates at a convention, and the related clause in the bylaw be deleted. Be it further resolved that governance bylaw 2016-1 be amended to replace the words resolution committee with the words the board in the clause the resolution committee has deemed the resolution to be rescinded because the resolution is stale dated or has been replaced by another resolution.
Okay, thanks, Guy. JP, do we have a mover?
Yes, I think it's the board. Here we go. Go ahead.
Norm Nordgulen, Director, Division 2.
Okay, would you like to speak to it, Norm?
I could do that. This resolution deals with proposed changes to the resolution process. The current bylaw has a definition for resolution committee. The proposed change is to include clauses that require the board to establish a resolution committee and adopt a resolutions policy. A proposed change is to limit those that can submit a resolution to a member municipality, a group or member municipalities, or the board. This change is required to ensure that resolutions have the support either of a council or councils or the board. A proposed change to the definition of bylaw and resolution clarifies that for a bylaw resolution or resolution to be approved, threshold of 50% majority or 2/3 majority is based on the votes cast by voting delegates. The final change is to modify the clause that addresses the effective date of resolutions. The proposed change would move the authority from the resolutions committee to the board to deem a resolution to be rescinded because it is stale date or has been replaced by another resolution.
Okay, anyone else, JP?
Yes, we have a member from the RM of Sherwood. Please go ahead and identify yourself. So the member who's the RM of Sherwood, you should see a little prompt on your screen to unmute yourself. There you go. Can you talk? Okay, so we don't appear to be able to hear that member. I'll send them a note to see if we can fix it.
Okay, so we don't have anyone else in the queue then?
No, Ray.
Okay, I'm not sure. Technical difficulties. I don't see anyone else.
We can just buy another 15 seconds, Ray. Let's just see if the member responds.
Okay.
Okay, Ray, I think we're good. The board member still has their hand up. I'm not sure if they want to end discussion, but it's the only person that's spoken to the motion, so.
Okay. Okay, I'll close the debate, call for the question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage to see the vote, and you can start voting now. And a reminder for the mover for next resolution to use the raised hand function now. Okay, that resolution also has more than 2/3 majority, so it has passed. 86.5% in favor, 13.5 opposed. Okay, we'll go to the next resolution.
Resolution 20-21M, SARM Governance Bylaw 2016-1, Amendment Number 4, Resolution 4, SARM Board of Directors. Be resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to delete the existing clauses with respect to the timing of the annual and midterm conventions and add a clause that provides that an annual and midterm convention shall be held each year on the dates and at a place or through such means as determined by the board.
Okay, thanks, Guy. JP, do we have a mover?
You do. Someone from the SARM board. Go ahead.
Bob Molding, Division 1 representative, I so move.
Okay, if you'd like to speak to it, go ahead.
Thank you. This resolution deals with the proposed change to the bylaw clauses that address the timing and form of the annual and midterm conventions. The ongoing COVID pandemic has necessitated changes to conventions. The proposed wording of the bylaw is to provide flexibility to the board with respect to the timing of the conventions and whether the conventions are held at a specific location or delivered to members virtually.
Okay, is there anyone else, JP?
There are no other hands up at this time.
Okay, I'll just give it a little bit of time to see if there's anyone else. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. JP?
Nope, there's no hands up, Ray.
Okay, I'll close the debate and call a question. Remember to hit the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage. Start voting now. As a reminder, the mover for the next resolution, number 21, should use the raise hand function now. Thank you. Okay, that resolution carried 90.2% in favor and 9.8% Opposed. Last resolution?
Resolution 21-21M, SARM Governance Bylaw 2016-1, Amendment Number 5, Resolution 5. SARM Board of Directors. Be resolved that Governance Bylaw 2016-1 be amended to add a clause that states the board has the authority to reject a proposed resolution, including a bylaw resolution, if, in the opinion of the board, the proposed resolution does not deal with a matter that is within SARM's mandate.
Okay, thanks, Guy. JP, do we have a mover?
You do. Someone from the SARM board. Go ahead.
Thank you. Judy Harwitz, I'm Director, Division 5, and I'd like to move this resolution.
Okay, if you'd like to speak to it, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the resolution. This resolution deals with the proposed change to the resolution process to provide the authority to the board to reject a proposed resolution if the resolution does not deal with the matter that is within SARM's mandate. While it is difficult to detail the resolutions that might be rejected, if this authority is granted to the board will exercise discretion to ensure that the authority is judicious.
Okay, is there anyone else, JP?
Note there are no hands up at this time.
Okay, we'll just give it a little bit of time. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, JP.
I do not see any hands either.
Okay, I will close the debate, call for the question. You can use the next vote button at the top of the Simply Voting webpage. You can vote now. That resolution did not pass. It didn't receive the 2/3 majority. So there was only 59.1% in favor, at 40.9% opposed. So that is lost. And that concludes our resolution session. I'd like to thank everyone for taking part and for having patience and doing our diligence as well. Thanks to JP and his team. And I turn it back to Jay to close off the convention. Stars. Yeah, got it here. It's right there.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for your patience during the resolution session and bylaw resolution session. That was great. But we do have, in closing, we're going to hear from stars. So once again, thank you. We are crossing our fingers that we're going to see each other in person in March, and you guys stay safe and have a good winter. Thank you.
Harvest was in full swing. I was unloading a truck and there was an explosion. I got hit with this fireball. At that point, I didn't realize how hurt I was. There was a secondary explosion, and by that point, I was starting to feel the pain. Went to the hospital. They took care of me very well. They determined I had 30% burns to my entire body. They notified STARS because of the extent of my burns. They were also very worried that my airway would close up. Being caught into a flash explosion like that, you typically breathe it in and your airways swell up. So they didn't want me to be on the ambulance, which is about a little over 2-hour drive, and have my airway start restricting.
maybe 40 kilometers or so back, maybe 10 minutes flying time, I started to see a little wisp of smoke on the horizon. It wasn't until we were almost right over the city that we could see the extent of what had happened. It was very, very dramatic.
We had a fundraiser after this event to raise money for the local fire departments. As appreciation, thank you, they gave the fire chiefs a book of a time lapse of the actual fire of the elevator.
It's pretty amazing overall that the damage that occurred and the fact that at the end of the day, there was really only one significant injury.
I also have quite a few pictures on my phone. I spent 18 days in the burn ward. Being at the hospital for 18 days, I can just remember seeing the helicopter come in, and it was an alarming rate how many times they fly in. Before the accident happened, like, you hear stars come in, but you kind of just don't think of it. And then when I had to use it, and then I wanted to come and see this. I wanted to come and say thank you.
We're just thankful that he got the right care at the right time, and we were able to be part of that.
I'm doing better. I'm healthy now, and in a large part to you guys.